Working with striped fabric is not for the faint of heart. It requires careful prep work and patience. This video will offer you some tips and tricks to make sewing with stripes less intimidating. If this is your first time working with stripes, consider working with large stripes rather than small stripes, and you'll want to buy extra fabric since matching is more important than saving fabric. Also, it's easier to work with symmetrical stripes rather than asymmetrical stripes. This means that the stripes look even across the whole fabric rather than having different size stripes that don't have an even pattern. The most important part in sewing with stripes is cutting out your pattern pieces. If you can, lay out your fabric flat on a large surface and consider cutting out your pieces using a rotary cutter. This way, there'll be less of a chance of your fabric slipping during the cutting process. You have two options when it comes to cutting your fabric. If you decide to fold your fabric to cut down on cutting time, you should still line up the stripes and pin the fabric together to make sure the fabric doesn't shift at all. Do not just pin the selvage together, but pin throughout the fabric. Or you can lay out your fabric in a single layer and cut out each piece individually. Each way is going to take a lot of time, but this is the way I recommend doing it. For pieces that belong on the fold, pin it to your fabric, use fabric chalk to draw an outline, and then flip the piece and repin. I would consider cutting the front pieces first and then match the rest of the pieces to those stripes. An easy way to do this is to start at the hemline or the bottom of the pattern, matching it to a particular stripe. If you need to cut more than one out of a certain pattern, such as cut 2 of a skirt pattern, you can either draw stripes directly on your pattern piece or cut one out of your fabric and then use that as your pattern for cutting the second fabric piece. So it makes it easy to line up the stripes. For smaller rectangle-shaped pieces like neck bindings, consider cutting it out using your rotary cutter and ruler. Or use a ruler to draw directly on the fabric and then cut out on the line instead of using the pattern. For cutting out sleeves, line up the bottom edge of the cap with the edge of the armhole. Matching the stripes from sleeve to bodice is really difficult, so worry about the front part of the sleeve and bodice and do the best you can. Once you have everything cut out, use a lot of straight pins when pinning your seams, making sure the stripes are lined up at the seam line and not just the edge of the fabric. It's recommended that you do a basting stitch on the seam line first. Also, you might want to use a walking foot to keep your stripes from traveling and becoming unmatched as the fabric moves under the foot. It helps if you don't remove your straight pins until it is absolutely necessary. After basting, look at your seams and make sure that everything still matches. If it looks good, then go ahead and sew a regular straight stitch over the basting stitch. If stripes intimidate you, feel free to get creative with your fabric. Don't feel that stripes always need to match. They can go in completely different directions from panel to panel. You can also do stripes purposely off like this, or sew them together to make a mitered stripe by cutting them on the bias. This usually only works for woven, not knit fabrics, because you want the stretch to still go around the body. Even though working with striped fabric can be difficult, it shouldn't discourage you because the end results are well worth the trouble. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please subscribe to get notified of our weekly releases. Also check out ProfessorPincushion.com to view our complete library with well over 350 sewing tutorials. If you would like to directly support us, you can check out our Patreon campaign and earn some exclusive perks. Thanks for watching.